welcome. Thank you very much for joining this. I'm going to sit back on the sofa and I would like each person to introduce themselves. So we'll start with the ladies in alphabetical order. So Angelis, please tell us a bit about you.
Oh, thank you. So first of all, thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you very much for everyone joining us. It's really a pleasure. I know there is a big offer of different conversation, webinar sessions and whatever. So choosing us, it's an honor. So I'm Angelis Moreno. I'm based in Madrid. I'm Spanish. I'm the former head of MPI in Europe, not any longer in this position, but I'm the founder of the Creative Dots, which is a consultancy firm working with companies and organizations in transformational processes and designing transformational experiences. And this is me. And over to Dagmara.
Thank you very much, Angela. How are you doing? My name is Dagmara Chmielewska and I'm from Poland, from Event Industry Association. Thank you very much for invitation, James, and I'm really pleased to meet all panelists and say hello to every single person who watch us. And Event Industry Association in Poland merge three items like event agencies, suppliers, and locations. And also we run the student event management on the University of Warsaw. Then I'm very happy to share with my knowledge and experience with you today. Thank you very much. And I share my word to Richard, I think. Sorry, to Christian. Sorry, it's alphabetic. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, Christian Seidenstücker. I'm the founder and CEO of Joke Event, one of the biggest event agencies in Germany. And as a little my hobby, I call it my hobby, I'm also, it feels like a lifetime president at Alia Europe. So in this position, I will be here and share my thoughts with you. Richard, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Hi, Richard Waddington. I'm the chair of EMA, the Event Marketing Association, which is an association that I created having exited my agency, First Protocol, now First Agency, which I was the CEO and founder of. EMA is the association in the UK exclusively for corporate in-house event professionals, something that I created to help them get together and communicate and talk with one another. We're over 1,000 members now in the UK and growing. I'm also an investor, advisor, and mentor into the industry. One of my big investments is micebook.com. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but that's an online platform for the mice industry, both from a supplier base and a buyer base, where you can now build your database of knowledge alongside suppliers, etc. Worked in this industry all my life, very passionate about it and love it, and love joining forums like this to give a little bit of insight and knowledge and hopefully help people keep and grow their businesses going through this terrible market that we're going through.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's a good segue into what we're going to be talking about today. And I thought it might be quite useful because we know what's going on at the moment. We know the industry is having real problems. But we have got over problems in the past. So if we go back to 2008 and we look at the financial crisis, we had a very difficult time in the industry, and incrementally it became a build up back to the business that we were at before the coronavirus. And it's taken quite a lot of years to do that. So in terms of how that recession worked, it was very much a slow build back to normality. But here we see a completely different scenario that we're having to deal with, because this is a recession that's not financial in nature. It's over a health issue. And here we see a very sharp, with no warning or hardly any warning, of a complete regression of economies in the UK and Europe and the US, and how that planning to come out of that health recession is going to work. So really what I wanted to do today is get you guys together with your expertise. And I want to look at not so much the demand side of what's going to happen in the future, but how businesses can really think about planning for coming out of the coronavirus era, and how are we going to kind of plan for resource allocation, labor, what we're going to do with our properties, or our rent and our mortgages, and how is entrepreneurship going to make a difference? How are we going to innovate as entrepreneurs to dig ourselves out of this hole? And so what I'd like to do today, and for the people out there, is I'm sure you'll have questions as we progress this discussion. So please add your questions into the chat window and we'll deal with those nearer the end. But I think what I'd like to do is divide this into 4 areas. So the first area that I'd like to talk about is what are your opinions on how to realign your rent or mortgage and fixed costs of your business. The second area would be how do we look at our labor costs, because we are a labor intensive industry. So how can we reconfigure that or plan for that in the future? And then looking at capital requirements. Do we need to borrow? Do we have enough cash flow? How might new investors be attracted to businesses that are having problems now, but are normally profitable? So the issues around that. And then lastly, talk about entrepreneurship. So in terms of rent, mortgages, etc., we know that from the 2008 recession, we saw a lot of people reducing their commitments in terms of what the size of the spaces. Do you guys have, we'll start, let's go around the houses how we did, Angelus, Dagmar, Christian, and then Richard. We'll stay on that cycle, but if you want to butt in, stick your hand up and we can come into you earlier. But I mean, how's this going to affect your business, Angelus, or how do you think people might be thinking about planning in terms of the amount of space that they need? Because we know that we're all working efficiently from home at the moment.
I think, not talking about my own company in general, because thanks God, we won't be 100% affected because, yeah, we design transformation. So we are right now pretty busy, I have to say, trying to help also organizations and other companies to go through the process of changing and adopting innovation and transformation as such. I think from there is a fog of uncertainty in general, not only in our industry, this is something that I want to raise their hand and also say, we are not the only industry impacted. So you were saying also about what is the crisis about, and it's a human crisis. It's a healthy, it's a big thing. It's completely different than what happened in 2008, where we had a financial crisis, or when we have hurricanes. So I was talking yesterday to Mexico, they have natural crisis and different things. Now it's human, it's something, it's affecting in a different way. But if we keep human, if we keep human resources and we keep the value of talent in our companies, we try to keep the maximum as we can, obviously reducing cost to the minimum. We will recover quite soon in the future, rethinking business models. So this is a big shift that we need to go through that process. I think as an entrepreneur myself, since 2000 was my first company, we need to adapt very fast. And this is something for entrepreneurs, it's quite easy, or we are used, this is our day-to-day routine, rethinking models and making fast decisions in one sense, but it's reducing cost to the minimum, taking the advantage of the stop, because you can rethink business models and you can think about what's your main strength and what's the value you're bringing to your industry or to your target market, and stick to that and continue building on top of that, which I think it's a big thing. Also, you may be looking under investments from your local governments, your regional government, from the European Union, or different things, because you may find something interesting that will impact or will be positively impact to your business, because there is more government intervention right now in the economy, so which may help or may not help in the future. So we need to rethink that.
So I'd like to stick with the kind of like spatial element right now about having rent costs, having mortgage costs, and how much space we actually need. I mean, what from your members, Dagmara, have you had any reactions on whether people are going to be thinking about downsizing in terms of office space or things like that, or is that conversation not really coming up? And what do you think on that idea?
Yeah, I think I can talk behalf of our members, like I said before, event agencies, suppliers, and venues. And everything is in process. And the biggest problem of this situation is the timing, because we don't really know how long we take it and what the proper enemy is, and how we're going to lose the money than we already lost as a first environment of the business, and probably we will get anything as the last one as well, because everything is frozen right now, and like Angels said, is an almost human problem. Then we, as a responsibility, we take responsibility for somebody else's health and security of everything. Then we understand we are not able to run any events, but still we have our own businesses and we have some stuff. We have to pay for the salary for the people. Yes, we have to pay for the rent as well, for our offices, for our magazines, for our venues. Plus we have some debts as a leasings, any other debt, and is a huge problem. For now, still we are waiting for response for the local government, and I think everywhere is the same thing. And of course, as an event association plus another associations from our country, we try to advise our government how to help us, but obviously we are from Poland and not everything is so easy. And I know it's not only our problem, but the countries as well. But now, in my opinion, everything is about the human behavior. Because of course, all any agreements and the paperwork or whatever between two businesses is that still we have some agreement, we should keep the points. But if we have this very unusual situation, then we have to look at again on each agreement and speak to each our client to rebuild the points. And for example, now when I speak to our members, I know that is a conversation between two people, owner of the, for example, event agency and owner of the some location, and they speak, okay, if you are in trouble, financial trouble, then we can do like a holiday from the rent, yes, for 1, 2 or 3 months, but still you have to pay later on, because in the same problem the owners have, because they know that person exactly knows that in this time no one is going to hire this venue. Like for example, if we have like exhibition venue, now only what they can do, they can reorganize the place for the magazines, for example, or they can try to have the local governments and to put as a hospitals, for example, or to give the hotels, which normally we treat as a horeca business for the doctors, because they don't need to go to their home, they can sleep at the hotels. Then there's so many solutions right now, and we try to help each other. But still really expect that the government will help us, because otherwise, in my opinion, sometimes when I think, okay, when we have money, we don't spend money right now. I don't get any money as a business because no one pay me. I don't do the events, but to be honest with you, I don't spend the money as well. Yes, everything is frozen, and we really look forward for this time when we will be unfrozen. But in the meantime, only what we can do, just speak to the nice people who understand the situation and try to sort out everything as that human side. In my opinion, of course, we confirm everything with the lawyers, with some offices, some advisors. It depends how big the company is, of course, yes. But like I said up front, it's so difficult because we don't really know how long we take it. And we don't know then, okay, we can talk about some agreement, but we don't know, is it for 1 month or for 2 months or for 3 months?
Yeah, but Christian, I mean, Joke Events has got offices all around Germany. So, I mean, for you, this must be like at the forefront of your thinking. You know, you've got all that property that you're managing or buying, got a mortgage on or renting, and then you've got warehouses full of stuff as well. So how are you guys thinking about that at the moment?
Yeah, and indeed, it's a very difficult situation, because due to the fact, compared to the crisis in 2008, you know, the basis of our business model is now affected, because meeting of people live, this is the basis, and there's a field where we earn the money. And so our company also is really affected, especially the production part, because at the moment, in Germany, it's only allowed to meet with 2 people at the same time in one room. So what shall we do at that time? And for sure, it's quite fancy at the moment having all these kind of video conversations. But honestly, I miss you. I would like to meet more in person, and especially if you see Dagmara and also James. We met last time at Convex in London in February, in the normal times, let's say. And at the moment, it feels like really that I really work more than before. Don't get it wrong. So half of the year I'm traveling all over the world, and now do not have this traveling times, but nevertheless, you have to be very active. You have to do a lot of conversations, starting with your own people, starting, let's say, with authorities, how to get some social programs, at least to talk and discuss with all landlords how to find a solution for the next month. Because as Dagmara said, at the moment, we do not earn any kind of money, so we're spending only money. And therefore, what we are doing is at Alia, and even though for the German Association Pharma, we try to, we open up these kinds of discussion forums and exchange forums to help each other. And I really can recommend also to talk to a local association like Dagmara's association or like Alia or FAMAP in Germany. There are some good ideas how to, not to overcome the situation, but nevertheless to give some ideas how to do that, how to talk to your bank, how to talk to your landlords. And I think this is very important in this times to exchange all this experience, not only to learn from each other. And I guess also, or I would recommend that also the countries should learn from each other, because Germany is a different way than in Spain or like in France. And I think this kind of exchange is more than needed in these crazy times.
Thank you. And Richard, do you have an opinion on the kind of property aspect, in terms of?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of different strategies to work your way through this situation, but it's all dependent on what your situation is at the current point and start. Yeah, whether you have reserves, you don't have reserves, you know, whether you've got revenue coming through your pipeline, or you've got no revenue coming through your pipeline. And at the end of the day, your overheads, your overheads are overheads, and you should be going through your overheads as every single line item and reducing where you can, depending on what your strategy is going to be to work your way through this challenge. This is the biggest crisis that's hit the world, and like Angeline said, it's a global crisis. You know, we're talking about 35% drop in GDPR, whereas in 2008, you referenced earlier, James, that was I think 5 or 7%. You know, where this is going back to the depression of the 1918s and everything else. It's, you know, this is going to be a massive challenge to work through, but we can work through it if you've got some reserves, if you've got some cash, if you've got no reserves. If you have no fuel in your tank and no powder in your powder pouch, I'm sorry, but you're not going to make it. All right. So any business that hasn't prepared for a crisis, and you should always be prepared for something, yeah. And if you have no reserves in your business, then you won't make it. You're better off now closing your business, taking the cash that you've got any cash in that business, and waiting for the market to start to come back and start again. So we call it phoenixing. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know I've heard from some people who are saying that they're literally going to close down and reopen. So
yes, that's
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I think that especially in our industry where we are fueled mostly by small and medium enterprises, that makes sense depending on how much you've invested into that business. I mean, as a service industry, in terms of a designer who's sitting at home and using a CAD program on their office desk, then that's something that's quite easy for them to do. When you start talking about businesses that have warehouses full of lights, speakers, and all that capital investment, it becomes a very, very complex kind of calculation of how do I continue that this business and not lose everything I've invested in over 10 years. So I can see your pain, Christian, because I know you've got a warehouse full of stuff, or warehouses full of stuff, and that must be a huge problem for you. But then we've also got all the people that we've worked with that feel part of our families as well in terms of our businesses, whether they're full-time staff, whether they are freelancers that we use on a very regular basis. Angelos, how are people viewing this in Spain? Have you spoken to people, or how are people viewing this in MPI in terms of how do we engage with our people now and kind of reassure them, but it's all going to be okay eventually, and we can keep those skills, keep that creativity, and those efficient working practices within the business?
I think there are two different things. So I'm talking to the people into the industry on a regular basis. I'm stuck in my office from 8 a.m. until yesterday 10:30 p.m. So I'm open to speak to everyone and trying to give them some advices if I have any tips or whatever. I think one thing is having the opportunity of demonstrate or incentivize or encourage your creativity, innovation skills, because we need new skills. So we will be back to business, but it will be different. And another thing is when you are an entrepreneur or you're a business owner, what to do exactly with the situation that Richard or Christian or Dagmar just described. So which is something extreme, very, very strong. If you have a lot of things to pay and you're not getting any incomes, what to do. The only solution I told before is if you don't have reserves, you are in big problems. So reduce to the minimum and go to find lines of investment or funding in any of the situation you can find, local governments or banks or whatever, but that's the only thing you can do. I think, and that's another thing. So solving your business problems is one thing. So be careful with that. I've been talking yesterday, for example, with a client. We have been consultants for them for long, and they have been waiting for 2 months trying to the business to recover. It's like, no, wait, this is a human crisis. It's a big thing. It's not what we have been before. It's something different. We need to rethink. It's a reset of system. It's a reset. For whatever reason, we had to go through that, and we are here. So try to learn from that the maximum. So this is one thing, your business. And another thing, while you are using this time because you're forced to stop, rethink your business model, because it's not only a question of tweaking the business model, it's rethinking your value proposition. What you are here was your strength, but you're bringing strong to the economy, which I think is a completely different conversation. And I think in that sense, there are some elements that need to be included into this rethinking process, like new elements like distance as a concept is right now there. It was before, it's not the first time. So I don't know. I mean, I remember when we had the launch of the web pages and the internet as a massive tool of communication and content, there was also the word distance as such, getting into the business model. So this is back again, and this is stronger, no? We have resilience. I think this is another strong concept that we need. So this ability to adapt, this fast way of adapting. So it's changing models in many cases. I had also a big event management agency before. I sold it a long time ago, so 3-4 years ago. And if I ever set up a new company in that model, I would never do it again in the same way, having warehouses and a lot of fixed stuff and so on, because of the environment that we are living right now. Not only this crisis, but something that has been here for some years. No?
I think that makes sense to a point, but I'd like to bring up that a lot of events are being postponed into the third quarter and the fourth quarter. So I think, having a warehouse full of stuff might help people because there could be a supply side problem. But Elling has a question for you in particular, Angelos, and he's saying here, this is Elam Hamzo from the ROI Institute, is saying, you say businesses will be different in future. We need to rethink business models, but how will the future be different? And I think that's a very good point. What do you think the new normal might be?
Oh, that's a good question. What will be normal look like in the future?
We'll go around the whole lot.
Yeah.
Let's a couple of sentences each, please.
That's a big question. Can only come from Elling, I guess. Not look like, probably, and for sure, it won't look like the normal of recent years. There is a big shift in the way we're going to interact as humans. I think globalization as such is into question right now. Mobility is also into question as such. So there is a reset of concepts. There is more government interventions. So we are now thinking that probably all the investment in social services from the governments were also super important, which probably we were thinking not as such before. So there is a new way of thinking on how to invest also money from government perspective and how this comes into industries as such. No? So I think I'm super scared about the free economy also. So this content and contact free economy, I think, is something that will impact also our industry. So we need to frame the new industry also with these components that we are seeing right now. I think there will be also a changing in industry structures. There is also a change on consumer behavior, which is a big thing. Also, which will impact probably will impact our industry too, and market positions, and also the sector as such. How attractive is the sector? But I see a huge opportunity on positioning the event as a concept in the position that the event deserves, because probably we didn't do that because we were running all the time in successful times, most of the time. Not only the part from live events, but also the part from MICE as such. And now is the time to put the event in the position that it deserves, because we need to rethink all the process. Okay. So how will that look like? No idea. I know it will that's for sure.
Okay, Dagmara, do you have any idea of what the new normal will look like? And then we'll go back to the labour and the staffing question.
The most positive thing in all this crisis is that we, as an event planner, are very, very creative people. Even what I mentioned already in our country, when I observe our members, they already changed the service, for example. Of course, most of the event agencies work online and they do their online conferences. But still, of course, is a good point, because still they do something. But the other hand, in the future, we don't know then everything will go to online or not. For example, today I wrote some article, and one of the trainer workshop company, and they say, come on, we even mentioned in the online workshops are better and cheaper than we expected, because we don't hire venues, we don't need to hire the technical support, still we have some audience online, then we don't need the event agencies anymore, and we don't need any venues. But the other hand, of course, still we know that we need a contact with the people. I would like to have you today, James, but unfortunately I can just send a kiss for you, yes, online. That's what I can do. Still, of course, it's some solution, but this solution will work in the future. We don't know. Also, the question with this, to find the solution in our companies. For example, yesterday, I checked with one of our members. He asked about the deposit. He did some short movie with his staff, and look at us. We really brilliant team, and we would like to survive together, because we've built our company for years, and we would like to be together. And please, our clients, help us, just pay us some deposit for the future event. We can survive, and after that we will give you some discount later on for the other event. Just help us. And it was quite a really good idea, and really liked about it. Still, some our members, what they do, they just clean up. Like, for example, they have some magazine, they clean the stuff, they do renovation of everything, they check the paperwork right now, and they just do what they couldn't do before because they were so busy. And when I speak to people from, for example, like security side or some aesthetic side of the event, here is the problem, because when we had that problem with terrorist attack, we already knew, then we have to find some additional tools to run the event and to keep people safe, and also to keep people still happy on this event. They are safe enough. And now we are not able even to see the enemy. We don't know will be a terrorist attack or not. We have to rebuild the event, the points how to work with a virus, for example. If we have any person on the event with a virus, shall we check the temperature? Shall we give the mask, for example? But still, for example, for security reason, in our country, we are not able to hide our face. It's illegal for now. But now do they expect from us to put a mask on? They have to change the rules, like a government rules, yes? And also the next question is who's going to pay for it, for example? Because before, of course, we had that trendy thing, eco cap, eco staff and everything. And usually in our country, event agencies, the organizer paid for it. But today, who's going to pay for the mask, for the additional soap, for additional, for the gloves, for example, the event organizers or the clients? And it depends what the kind of the event is. If it's a corporate event, definitely one client will pay for it, yes? But if it's an individual client, like for some concerts or some festivals, probably I will pay as an individual customer for it. Then everything will be more expensive as well. And it's so many questions right now, how is going to look like in the future, but we start thinking about this. And also we really waiting for the World Health Organization's rules as well, because somebody has to put the new rules for us. I believe we are, as an expert of the event agency, event industry market, still we should advise them, okay, for us is a practical. For the other hand, is really good to keep safe people and the whole event, but still somebody has to pay for it. And also how you can think even about the organization of the event. If you have any like reception, can you imagine the 100 people on the reception and we check the temperature? Every single person? Or it's not a problem to give us a gloves, or it's not a problem to give us a mask for the person, but still check the temperature. Of course, we have some special machine, but still the machine costs at least 200 zloty, which is like roughly is a 600 euros. It's not maybe too much, but if you have a big event, you have to put this machine like 5, 6. Then it means the value of the event is high already.
Okay.
I would like to have like many information and some solutions, but it's so difficult to answer for everything. But still, we have to think about this.
Okay, Kristen, just talking about the new normal, and you've got teams of people around Germany that you having to keep employed and keep that team spirit and motivate them, and there must be some work going on behind the scenes. So how do you think your team might look within the new normal? Is it going to stay very much the same, or what are you thinking?
That's a good question. So at the moment, or the first month or first weeks of the situation, our people enjoyed it working from home. So, and I think the good thing is, especially in our event industry, where we're used to working from everywhere from the world. So the technical requirements and the infrastructure was already given. So for us, was no problem to send our people from one day to the other at home. And it's very important to have a kind of routine and to give them a kind of structure. So that means we're keeping on our meeting formats. So that means, for example, every morning at 10, I have a huge meeting with all project managers. At 11, I have the next meeting, and at 2 o'clock with my management team. And the only difference is we do it online right now. And we are using the time on the one hand to recalibrate our let's say, our business model, and also to identify in which fields do we have to be better for the future. And I think this is a good thing now. We have now more time for things we couldn't do before. And it's always a time also for education, you know, education which could be done from services like from Elling offered or from Alia or whatever organizations. But at the end, for ourselves, we identified some key points which we have to think about, and so we formed some smaller groups to think about and to present these results. And for us, we identified three main topics. So the first topic is really the meeting design for the future, because so these kind of mass events and gatherings, I think this will take another minimum 8 to 12 months before we could restart. So it's about us to define new formats, thinking about maybe instead of inviting the people all at the same time at one location, maybe it's a decentralized format. So that means instead coming from let's say from Madrid and from London or from Warsaw to Frankfurt, for example, why not organizing, staging some local events and to combine them also with a kind of, yeah, let's say online tool, so to get together. And another thing is what's we identified is the communication with the participants. So even though if, for example, we start with the first events, who knows how the behavior will be of the participants. If you have a family where we have some, let's say your parents, you know, where you are not sure if you attend the event that you also might be infected. So that means also to develop concepts prior the event, how to talk with the guests, even though if they arrive, maybe we have also to show a kind of safety video which you find on the airline, on the plane, you know, where you see the exits are in the front, in the middle, and in the back, for example. And the last point, what we identified really is the measurements, security measurements on site. So, you know, distance, what has this kind of impact on the location, because you know we still have a lot of events for the third and the fourth quarter, and we're thinking about maybe we have to change the location, because normally the event was planned, let's say, for 200 or 300 people in one venue, and now you need minimum the double or triple size of the venue. So there are a lot of aspects, and I think it's all on us to start early enough to think about this point. And because, as you know, normally the business will come back for sure. It will be different, but at the end, we need preparation time, minimum 2 to 6 months for the next event. And my recommendation is use this time with your team, find new solutions, and think about what do we have to do to ensure the safety of our participants.
Absolutely. So Richard, how do you kind of see from your membership, how are they kind of dealing with this staffing labor? Because a lot of all your members work within large corporate companies like Barclays Bank or whatever. So what's their take on that?
Well, I think, because I think we've only got like 5 minutes left. I mean, I can keep going, but I don't know how the whole thing is structured on time.
We've got another. Well, we can go on for another 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I thought it'd be more useful to basically say, give you a bit of background on what our members are talking about and what they see happening, which will give people on the call a view for where the pipeline is. At this current moment, there are lots of opportunities for communication companies. Now, communication, I'm not talking about the kit. I'm not talking about the different types of, do I do Zoom? Do I do this? Do I do meeting point? The technology that delivers the virtual event, but the agencies who can talk to clients, advise clients, help clients put on a show. All right, because, fine, this works. It's very simple, very basic. It's okay. But if I want to motivate 1,000 staff, or I want to do this, or, want to engage with corporate, I've got to put on kind of production, TV show online. Now, how do we do that? The narrative, the communication, the length of presentations are much shorter. Are the speakers used to presenting to a TV camera and in live? So people who can start to work on the comms and the narrative are getting quite a bit of business, because they're helping and advising and mentoring. Because the clients, they're event managers, they're not production, they're not producers, directors of production. So there's opportunities there. Now, that's immediate. The long term is, it's going to be the beginning of next year. I mean, everything has been postponed for the third quarter. That's been pushed now into the fourth quarter. People are already starting to push things from that quarter, cancel those things, move them into next year. There's a big conversation going around about we have to be conscious and considerate to when do people want to go back to events. Everybody values the value of events. The corporates value the value of events, but when are they going to lift their travel? You know, when am I going to feel comfortable to go to Madrid, to go to Barcelona, to go to Rome? When, you know, these things are going to take time, and we know it's going to be 12 to 18 months before a virus is created. So our network, we're already talking about events will start once we get the green light to start in, like Christian, what you were talking about, you know, we need more space, we need this, we need that, we need smaller groups. They will start slowly. So it's not, we shut the book like that. We're going to start opening the book very, very carefully and very slowly. And introducing local events, local meetings that can be connected through technology. So if I'm a European company, I might want to link 3 or 4 meetings through technology. For a global organization, then we get to this hybrid event. Events will come back, but they'll come back very slowly. And companies need to be thinking and structuring and pivoting themselves. How can we support that? So, for example, if you're a DMC agency that is generally looking at business coming into your destination from overseas through other agents and partners, forget it. Not forget it totally. It's still some things will happen, but very small. Start to look at your local companies, your local business. How can you help them run their local business, their local meetings and stuff? Okay. I think that's where we need to think about. This is a long game, and we need to make sure we survive in the game and innovate and change. And you know, I'm very positive. I think there's massive opportunities here.
And I think, Richard, you have been super positive. I've been super impacted hearing a lot of people in the industry thinking that nothing has changed. And no, the sooner we realize everything has changed, the better we will find good solutions. So for example, Dagmara just mentioned that the healthy organization we should be advising them how to put the new rules and regulations on how events will happen in the future. And we are not doing that. So maybe that's a great opportunity of associations to open conversations with the key people, putting new regulations, not only in working environments, but also on how we need to interact with humans. That's a huge opportunity also as a market. But I've been impacted on, for example, Jimmy ID, that you hear only super positive news. It's like, wait, things has changed a lot. And now the sooner we realize and we admit that and we digest the situation, the better you will start running and thinking on the future and how to do things for when the doors are open back again.
But people are humans, and the most important thing that we are humans, we are social interactive animals.
Yep.
We like to be with each other. Like you said there, Dagmar, great, I can blow you a kiss, but I want to be with you. I want to shake your hand. I want to say hello. And that's really important. So, okay, I have drinks with my friends in the evenings over Skype or over this or whatever. In my back garden, I've taken a panel out of my fence, so me and my next door neighbour can sit there this evening and have a beer in the garden, 12 feet away from each other, because we want to see each other. We want to talk. I don't want to do it through a screen. So, but that takes time. It will take a long time. But yeah.
Yeah, because basically we need the guarantees that nothing is going to happen.
We don't know when the start date is to the transition, because until we see the government starting to lift their restrictions. And also finding, I'm sorry, but listening to Donald Trump at the moment, it's just happening.
Can I just change the subject? And I'm just going to go to Christian, because he actually knows this person, Xandro Castro from Chicago, who's an ILEA member. He's making an observation here on consumer behavior, really. He's saying the attendee and corporate willingness to attend live events is going to be one of the more difficult things to predict and plan for. Do each of you, just in a couple of sentences, each of you give me a comment on how do you think behavior is going to change over the next 6 to 12 months. Christian, would you start that off, please?
As Richard already said, it needs time to get back this kind of confidence. And I think we should work on possible solutions and to give them the, let's say, the kind of, well, not say guarantee, but nevertheless, to do all the efforts that we could do to offer a safe event format. And I think, therefore, we have to use this time to educate ourselves, maybe also as a health expert, let's say, and as I said before, the thing is communication with the, let's say, with the participants will be much more important. And we're already working on, let's say, on recommendation action plans for the future, kind of a certificate, you know, where you see how safe is this kind of event. And I think this is all this kind of measures what we have to do within the next month, and yeah, sometimes to get back to the kind of normal business, let's say.
Good. Dagmara?
What I really suggest is very important to integrate our environment. As an expert, I think we can advise governments and European Parliament, for example, from UE countries, how to work with us and what kind of the solutions they we should to use it. And every week, almost every week, we had some chat conference like this one, and we speak to associations from the event industry about our job, what we do so, for our industry locally. And we already have some letter. And with this letter, we sign exactly what do we expect from our governments and also from European Parliament as well. And for example, also we just share our experience and the knowledge what we do. And for example, the Belgium Event Industry Association, they did the Marshall Plan, and is a like a good practice for the future. Good practice for the health and safety, good practice for the cooperation with agency and clients, for example, good practice between even agency and suppliers, and it's really, really cool. And we're going to translate it into Polish to have as an example for the future. And also right now we write the letter and we sign the letter as I think 9 or 10 European associations. And with this letter, we exactly say what we are, who we are, what we do, what we do. Oh, you have already. Oh, no, it's a different one as well. This one is also, yeah, this one is also one of the letter, of course. And
that one.
Yeah, is. Yeah, it's true. That is a proof that I don't lie. That is true. Yeah, we sent the letters and we sent to European Parliament, and I think it's only one way what we can do for our members, because it's a different thing how we work with as a company and different thing how we work as an association. And we know that we have to help our members, and exactly what I do, and also the education. Because like Christian said so many times, education, I really agree with you, because we have to educate ourselves how to survive in this unusual time, how to run the business in this time, how to motivate our staff as well. And then we as an association, 2 times a week, we have a video chat on our Facebook, and we speak to lawyers, we speak to the VAT advisors, we speak to the properties advisors as well, and some psychologists, and so many people. They give us some tools how to just run ourselves and run the business in this time. And I think what we can do, just join us, be together.
Okay. So I'm going to just move on there, because you mentioned skills, Christian's mentioned skills, and we've got Caroline Jackson in the UK, and we also had Elling earlier ask about training and staff needs. And Caroline says, going back to people and mentions of education and new skills, what are these? And are there new normal people that we need for the events sector? So things like people saying, well, I know PCMA does a a certification for digital events management, for example. Are these kind of new skills going to be sort of hot in the industry over the next? Angelos, what do you think?
Absolutely. We will require new skills for every single actor in the industry. So to give you examples from the whole industry, so convention bureau, from promoters to initiators of economic impact in destinations. So it will be a completely shift on the roles that we are playing in the industry. I think communication is key. It's a key element. What do we want to communicate and how do we achieve exactly our target audience, and how do we activate what we are trying to achieve with the communication? And I think this is something that we really need to focus on that. I think obviously skills, I mean, technology skills, which shouldn't be something new now, but apparently it is for all of us. So this is a big shift, but it's not only technology. Technology, it's only a way of doing things. We need to go through a process of understanding how do we bring value to the new industry, considering that probably until 1 year we won't be able to travel on a normal way, or even 1 year and a half. It's long period. I think new skills is key. I mean, it's key, and it's something that we have the time now to do it.
Okay, and Richard, we've got a comment here from Amanda Hofmeister. I don't know Amanda. But I believe that you're right, Richard. Local DMCs, but also freelance consultants can team together and can help local companies, plus driving the hybrid model. Now, the hybrid model, I don't know if any of you attended GMID the other day, but they did a poll and they asked what kind of events we saw for the future. And there were over 7,000 people on the poll for the one question, which the response was that hybrid will probably be the most important kind of way events are reconfigured. So Richard, do you have a comment back for Amanda on what she's saying that she agrees with you on?
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, basically, that's why I said it. The hybrid model, the people, we all need to evolve. And event management, so going back to Caroline, we teach event management at university. Management is a process. Technology tools are a process. Yes, you need to know how to do that. Like if you're a brickie, you need to be shown how to lay bricks, how to build foundations, how to build and check that the wall is straight and everything else. But the big question for those people is, are you cutting stone or are you building a cathedral? They've got to be able to look up and have that vision, understand the why. Now, so that's why I've always banged my drum, as you know, James. We are event marketeers, not event managers. And we've got to understand the reason why we're doing what we do, what the client is doing, why they want to do, and how we're communicating. So the minute you can start to help clients communicate, then this is how we do it. That's where we need to be. And this is the big opportunity for our industry, is to be seen as, in the industry, to be seen as event marketing, not event management. Management's what we do, marketing's why we do it. And I think that goes from corporate to individuals to agencies, across the spectrum of the industry.
Okay, good. So look, we're going to end it here, but what I'd like each of you to do, we'll start with the ladies first in alphabetical order. You've got, I want a tip or two on what people could think about, what they can do for their businesses, how it's something helpful for them to think about in the future. 2 minutes each, please, and then we'll end it there. Angelos.
Oh, good. So I think I want to remember a sentence that I really like, which is every cloud has a silver lining. And it's because I love Bradley Cooper. I'm sure a lot of ladies in the audience will agree with me. But I think the time is now, and the time is now to think the why of the industry. Why are we here? Take the position. I would love to see all the associations together, all of them, and not just a bit and not just a part, all of them together, talking to the big institutions that are going to regulate our business for the future, and putting the conditions from the knowledge of the professionals, because otherwise we will be back again only being logistics in the industry, and we are not like this. And this is a big conversation to have. I think from the business owners, as I said, reduce to the minimum your cost, rethink your model, bring new skills to your staff members, rethink how you add a proper value proposition to the market, learn, reinvent. And yeah, this is the new situation, and this is actually the innovation we have been talking about for long. It's coming too strong, and we are paying too much for that, not only with money, but also with human lives, and that's a big thing. And we need to be conscious about that. And the last thing, we should not be only looking into our industry and only thinking about us. We need to go outside. What is happening outside? How is innovation moving outside? How do we turn our business into something unique for the world, and also bring to the society and to sustainability in one sense, which is a big thing for economy.
Thank you. Dagmara.
I don't know what shall I add to this. But what is the most important, also what I would like to add to the previous question about the education, even I wrote down 4 points that really I think would like to improve of our workshop of the health and safety, because I think will be very important very soon, about the security, how to control the panic, because we can have some people with temperature during the event. And I think the best people who can employ in the future are the people who can control the stress. Because even for now, we have a huge stress. We think that we control this stress, but I'm not sure. When we isolated at our homes, then we can think, okay, it's a peace of mind and just sit at home and do my job. But still, I think the stress is a huge one. Then what I think and what I really suggest, how we can control ourselves, how we look after about ourselves, also how we can look after about our business and the people around us, as our employee, as our contractants, how to also, what I really think, and I can add to Angela's, then we really would like, now is a time, perfect time to speak to our clients from the human point. Like to take a phone and how are you? How do you feel? Are you okay? Because for now, I think is the most important thing. Thank you.
Christian.
Yeah, what shall I add? So the communication with clients, I think also this is really important, as you said, because also they have this kind of question marks, because also they're infected in their business. And this, as you know, live communication is so essential. You know, this is the only thing how to build up personal relationships or builds up confidence, and they're asking for solutions, let's say. And even though I think we think what kind of, let's say, current event formats, how will they look like in the future? And yeah, and integrate your team, integrate your let's say your suppliers, integrate the venues, all this kind of stuff. And you will see a lot of creative ideas will come out, and share these ideas with all. And I think this helps all the whole industry. And I would bet that in, let's say, minimum 2 years, we will be back where we were, differently, let's say, but nevertheless, at that time, we try to survive this time and use this time, you know, to be ready for the restart.
And finally, Richard.
Thank you. Great to go last because you get a bit more time to think about it. However, everybody else had said everything you were going to say before you got round to it. So I'll start from scratch. Stay engaged. All right. Stay in the moment. To stay engaged with your clients. Reach out to them, talk to them. Don't try and sell anything to them, but understand their situation, understand their pain points, understand their challenges. One of an agency that I consult on, the other week we come up with a thing. We're doing it tomorrow evening. We've invited half a dozen clients. I think it's about 12 going to attend, and they're going to come and attend through Zoom. We sent them all a bottle of wine, and we're going to do a wine tasting. Okay, that's the stick. But basically, it's come together with these clients, other clients online, and let's just chat around issues and challenges that you guys are all facing. You know, we put ourselves then in the mix of all of that. You can't not go near your clients, but you can't go banging on the door trying to sell to them. So it's building that rapport, building that dialogue, that relationship, and keep that going. Seen an idea, read something, heard something on a seminar, saw something on LinkedIn you think someone might be interested to, send it to them. Yeah. Hey, John. Hey, Sheila. Hi, Sally. I thought you might be interested in this. Good. but to keep that dialogue going and get to understand the issues and everything else. And the same with your team and your people. You know, keep them motivated, keep them challenged, make sure they're working if they're not furloughed, that they're working on stuff that is aligned to the business goals and objectives, and engage them in the strategy.
Great. Well, I'd like to say thank you. We've had a thank you message from Tahira Endine in Canada and Jen Poyer back in Los Angeles. Thank you. And I'd like to say thank you to Angela, Stagmara, Christian and Richard. We are making a recording of this, and this will be sent out to the panelists, to everybody who attended the session, and they can share that on social media. So thank you very much for joining us all.
Yeah, last thing on this.
Pleasure.
Yeah, guys, everybody out there, you know, go to more of these things, listen to what's going on, learn from it, take little bits of snippets of information that you'll hear to help you formate your own opinions and everything else.
That's it. We are all together in this, and we need to go through that together.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
Jenny.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Bye.